Welcome back. There's a custom from the Rebbe's shop to learn a chapter of the Tanya before davening the morning service. So I just randomly turned to a page and it was chapter 9. So figured might as well share what it says. It talks about two souls in a person. There's the natural soul, which is it's going to explain where it is, and it wants natural things in the world like food, etc. And then there's the divine soul, and the divine soul only wants the Creator's light, basically. And it says that the natural soul is found in the left side of the heart, which is full of the blood, and the blood is like the emotions. So initially, but before this natural soul is transformed, as it gets to, it says it's mainly inclined towards, as I mentioned, natural things. That's why all negative emotions come from it, like anger, chas v'shalom, etc. So that's all in the left part of the heart, the blood. But then the divine soul is rooted in the brain, and the brain, from there, it's able to influence all the other limbs. So first of all, the heart also influences all the other limbs, but it's going to get to that in a second. So the point is the divine soul is in the brain, and from the brain it goes down to all the limbs, including the right part of the heart, because the right side of the heart doesn't have any blood. It's empty, but it's not really empty. It's filled with the divine soul, which is not necessarily the blood, but it's like divine, so it's like emptiness. It's like the spirituality. So it says that when someone in the divine soul contemplates the greatness of the Creator and how great the Creator's works are, etc., then that causes the right side of the heart to be filled with a love for the Creator, which is like a burning fire that wants to go up to its source, essentially. And then it explains that these two souls, which one is in the right heart and one is in the left side of the heart, are like two kings fighting over a city, for example. I think they're starting shachris, but basically, maybe we'll continue in a second. Let me pause it. No, they actually didn't. So it's all divine providence. The point is that these two souls in the two parts of the heart, one's in the left part of the heart, one's in the brain that influences the right part of the heart and all the limbs. They're like two kings that are trying to fight over a city where, for example, both the kings want all the members of the city to only follow them and not to follow anyone else, etc. So, for example, it says the godly soul, rooted in the brain, wants all of the limbs to be filled with serving the Creator. For example, it wants all three parts of the brain, explained at length elsewhere, what those three parts of the brain, wisdom, understanding, and knowledge are. But the point is, different ways of understanding and thinking, and it wants all those ways to be only dedicated to the Creator, thinking about the Creator, basically. And then from that, it also influences all of the rest of the limbs of the body, which it gets to in a second, to only do the mitzvahs and the Torah. And it says at the end of the chapter that even one's thought and speech should only be in the words of Torah. Like it says, one's mouth. It says earlier in the Talmud that one's mouth should always be speaking Torah, for example. And then it says one's thoughts also should only be in the Torah, and all the limbs should also be in the action of the mitzvahs. And it says that it also gives an example regarding earlier in the Tanya. It talked about how there's 4 elements which exist in everything, and also spiritually and physically, which exist both in the positive and the negative side. So it said earlier there's the idea of like the element of the air, fire, water, and earth, and it explained at length what it was in the first chapter. But now it's saying that the negative aspect of water is that which is all the worldly wants people have. Because it explained earlier, because essentially food, for example, has taste. But how does it have taste if like the seeds that don't really have taste, if the ground also doesn't have taste? But really it's from the water, it explains in some places, but except that the water itself doesn't have taste, but the water is the source of taste. So it's beyond taste, but that represents like the potential for taste, so it's like the source of taste. So water represents like the delights in the physical world, because even though it doesn't have any taste, but it's a source of taste. So that's regarding in the natural soul, how it has like the tastes for the worldly things. But it says that really, but then it says that's the negative aspect of water, and it says the positive aspect of fire is in the right side of the heart, because that's when it says from the brain that influences the right side of the heart to have the burning fire, love to the Creator, which is like a fire that goes upwards, wants to be connected to its source. So too, like when thinking about the Creator, then that causes one to like want to go up to its source, like fire goes up to its source. Basically, so it says that when the right side of the heart like wants to influence the left side, it wants to transform from the fire to the water, but it was kind of interesting to understand. But I think it was trying to say that it's like you have the positive aspect of the fire on the right side of the heart, trying to influence the left side of the heart, and then it says that left side of the heart influences from the negative water to the good water, and the good water, it explains, is a higher level of love for the Creator, which is compared to water. Because the first level in the right side of the heart is fire, which comes from thinking about the greatness of the Creator, then that makes the fire in the right side of the heart that wants to go up. But then it says once that wants to influence the left side of the heart, the left side of the heart is water in general, but generally it's water for the world, but it wants to influence it to become water for the Creator, which does that mean like it's called a love of delight, because we said water is the idea of the delight, it's a source of taste, even though it doesn't have taste, but it says that it wants to transform the left side of the heart to be like, to have a delight love for the Creator, meaning like the right side of the heart is mainly, its main love is it wants to like go out of itself, to go like to a higher level, to be in the Creator, because it recognizes His greatness. But the love of delights, which is like water is just like, doesn't necessarily go up, it's just there. It goes down, but that's another issue. But the point is that the water is just like the idea of the delight, meaning it doesn't want to go anywhere. It is there itself. It is in the Creator itself. And it says that is similar to the world to come, of the resurrection of the dead, when everyone will recognize the Creator everywhere. That's like the love of delights. So the point is that the two levels of the heart, the two souls, are like two kings trying to take over the city. And the main thing is that we should only have thought, speech, and action in the Torah and the mitzvot.